Secret history of the Mongols. Genghis Khan makes a great point. One arrow breaks easily. But all the arrows stand together. You're not going to break these. So today's video is going to be about multitude of arrows, different kinds, but I want to make the point too that the human race, whether on the local level in your county or state, or whether it's your country or just the whole planet, we got to stand together, because if we don't, we're going to break just like that one arrow. If we stand together like this, we can do great things. Now this is probably going to drive a lot of the purists crazy, and I feel their pain. I mean, you know, much, if not most, of what they say is technically right, but there is something to be said for a diversity of arrows, not just the tips and the fletchings, but the shafts, just the arrows overall. Because, well, aside of the fact that it's just more fun to shoot a lot of different arrows, you know, in ancient times on the battlefield, you know, you can well imagine that you're going to run out of arrows, and if, you know, unless you're like, you know, the English artillery or something like that, you know, if you're you know, on the battlefield, either on a horse or, you know, like a horse archer, or somebody that's just, you know, in the chaos of battle, you're going to be scavenging whatever arrows you find, and most of them, because they'll have been shot, you know, at your lines, will more than likely be your enemy's arrows. So you're not always going to be shooting with the same arrow every time, which if you shoot with the same arrow every time, yes, you're going to be more accurate, and you're going to learn to be more accurate. But you can't always count on that luxury in the scheme of life. What do they say? The battle plans seldom, if ever, survive the chaos of battle itself. Something like that, not verbatim. But so, you know, I kind of keep in the spirit of that. I like variety, and I like adapting to variety, and so I shoot a variety of arrows. So let's talk about the arrows now. These have been pretty fun, and frankly, I've just dabbled with some of them. Others I've shot a lot, but some are just plain fun. like the whistle arrow. I had a day where I was just shooting with my 90-pound, launching this sucker as high as I could, and it was a still day, you know, and I'm in my backyard, and it's going straight up, straight down, and it's just, you know, all the time. It was, my neighbors must have thought I was nuts, but it was really fun. And I also lost one in my neighbor's woods. But so anyhow, this standard field tip, and you know, it's like I've never been crazy about field tips, but you know, they are really easy to pull out of stacks, and they are attached to the Yumi arrows, which I like a lot, so I shoot those pretty much now for the time being. Now this is a rope cutter tip that I made myself, and yeah, I have yet to fully cut a rope with it, because I haven't really spent a lot of time with it, but it was fun to play with, and I'm going to be playing with it more in future videos. This is a tip that I made myself, and it's pretty crude. You know, it's okay, but it's fun. It's fun to make your own arrowheads sometimes. You know, being a blacksmith, you know, it's kind of nice. These are interesting tips. I don't know, you know, if the holes do much other than lighten it, if even. It's kind of interesting that you could tie something through there if you wanted to, for whatever that might do. But they do pull out of the stacks easy, and they look kind of wicked. This I've used a few winters back. It's a fire arrow. You should take a rag that's soaked in some kind of flammable, and you tangle it in there, and that works pretty well. And it'll even stick in, at this point, it'll even stick in something like wood or something like that, which I haven't done intentionally, but yeah, it works pretty well. I'm going to be playing with that this winter, believe me. I'm going to be playing with this winter. You'll likely see a video of it. This is an interesting arrow. Again, a hole. You can tie something through it. You know, I guess a line or something like that. Does it? You know, it was called. I think they called them whistle arrows. They don't whistle, but they're fun to play with, and the blade's kind of wicked looking. This is a rope cutter arrow that I bought, and again, you know, haven't had a lot of luck with it. You know, it's okay. You know, I think it probably needs to be sharpened a lot more. You know, you can cut things with it, but I have yet to, you know, cut through a rope with it. This is a nice little spear point, and kind of wicked looking. It's cool. This is a variation of the rope cutter that I made, and you know, it's too heavy, and you know, it was fun to play with, but it's one of those things where I still have to work on, you know, lightening it and making a better design for it. This is the standard Mitsubishi tip, and I was buying a lot of these for a while. You can still buy them, and I quite like these. These will punch through a lot of stuff. This is another variant that I've bought online. You know, it's okay. It's just it's an interesting variant of a tip. This is a stone tip. I have a few of these that I've bought. I have done some stone napping and made some tips, but this is one. This is a tip that I bought and then just used sinew to attach it to a shaft, and these are fun to shoot. And this is I forget where I bought this, but I bought this. I think the same place I bought the rope cutter here. It's an interesting tip. I think it's a medieval style tip. I've shot this a bit, not a lot, but you know, but it's a fun tip. So that's pretty much the diversity of arrow tips that I have, and now we'll talk about the fletchings. Okay, the fletchings is pretty simple. It should be a little shorter, but these are fletchings I bought and applied, and it's pretty crude stringing job. So not one of my best arrows. This actually is a fun one to shoot. These are crow feathers. I collect crow feathers around my yard, and my wife finds them for me too. And this one's been used a lot, as you can see here. It's taken some wear, but yeah, I use crow feathers sometimes to fletch my arrows. And as you can tell, I refletch arrows that have been worn out. This is an old string job still on there, but my string job is pretty light. Well, except for that's a little crude, but my string job's generally pretty light on these. This is what's called a flu arrow, and my understanding is that they're meant to go slower and not go as far because they're more for, I think, bird hunting, I think. This is what's called a Yumi Arrow, and again, as I said in another video, it's like somebody who has a son in Japan, he asked him about it, and he said Yumi is just a word for bow. So I don't know why they call them Yumi arrows, except that they're Japanese style, and I absolutely love these arrows. These are great. This is a standard fletching for when you get the bamboo. Most of my arrows are bamboo. I still have some wood ones like this one, but this is fairly standard for a lot of the bamboo arrows, especially when you get the Mitsubishi tips. There's a style out there you can get on eBay that is pretty standard. This is a fletching job I did myself, and it has. Well, yeah, I bought turkey feathers a while back and trimmed them down, and you know, it's pretty crude. I'm not great at this. I'm learning. This is another pretty standard fletching when you buy bamboo arrows online, and it's a little faded, but you know, it's pretty good. And this is again another standard fletching when you buy arrows online. This happens to be attached to my whistle arrow. So. Two whistle arrows. Better. Alright, the top of this one's lost for the time being. I'll have to look for it later. They do come apart, obviously. Much better. Let's do it one more time. Well, that was interesting. Well, unfortunately, that second shot proved fatal for the crescent arrow. It is out of the game today. That won't be cutting anything anytime soon. I'll have to put that in the forge and see if I can fix it up. Well, that last tink wasn't what I wanted to hear. The head is okay, but the arrow, no good. Have to fix that one. Down to one arrow. Okay. That worked. Well, there's the casualties. The first one that broke actually was this one. Well, it hit the weight a couple times, and you can see here, because I had it freshly, I just sharpened it freshly, and it dinged. Must have hit it at least once, if not twice. And you can see the big notch where it hit the weight. And at one point, obviously, it hit there and just bent that right over. This one, it hit the weight, but I don't see that it really did anything to it. Yeah, it certainly didn't lose its edge, but yeah, I must have glanced it or something, and sometimes that's enough to break a shaft. So yeah, these will get tested, I suppose, at a later time, but they're going to need some some work. Another thing to quickly discuss is how these three arrows have different weights. The shafts are different weights and the heads are different weights. This head here, this wide crescent, is one that I bought. It's lighter than these two. This actually is a little heavier than the tips I normally shoot. But these are heavy because they're big and clunky, and they're hand forged, and I'm not that good at making arrowheads yet. But what it did was it forced me in my first few shots to quickly adapt, to the weights and the different weights, to know what to expect from them. And so that always has to be taken into consideration when you're using a variety of arrows, which I did today. Thanks for tuning in. Be generous and be kind. See you next time. I'm Rusty Bow.